You know, I tell you about books all the time on this program, but I have to tell you, Jason Wright's one of my favorite authors. He is an author that writes from the heart. He's written the Christmas Jars and the Wednesday Letters, which is now out in paperback. His latest work is inspiring. It is called Recovering Charles. And the author is here with me. Jason, how are you?
I'm good.
You and I are friends, and Katrina, for me, has become such a political nightmare that I can't read anything about Katrina. You sent me this book back in, I think, in June, and I started to read it. And when I found out it was, revolved around Katrina, it was really hard for me to read the first couple of pages. Yeah. Did you know that was happening with people, that it was politicized and that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I called you, or I wrote you the next morning. I actually didn't go to sleep that night because this is such an amazing book. It's about people who have a lost life, lost childhood, and then they take a second chance, take another stab at it, right?
They get another verse at their life. And on the Katrina issue, it is important, I think, for folks to know that the book is not about Katrina per se. It just happens to take place in New Orleans during that incredible time in our nation's history. Incredible
so much sense once you know the story.
And there's a great metaphor there with second chances.
Yeah.
I think not only do you and I deserve second chances and second verses, but probably American cities sometimes deserve a second shot.
So this is the story, because it starts, and because I know you, and I know that, I mean, I'm riddled with alcoholism and suicide and everything else in my family. But you have so captured a dysfunctional family early on. It starts with the main character's childhood, and it kind of goes into where he was as a kid. How did you capture that?
Well, dysfunction. Nobody knows dysfunction like the Wrights. I mean, let's be honest. No, I certainly don't have that level of experience with the issues that folks like you experienced earlier in life. But I think I've known enough people, and I've gotten to know you certainly over the last several years, that I'd be lying if I said your name didn't flash through my mind a lot as I was holed up in a hotel room the last week finishing the book. I thought a lot about some of the stories you've told me over the last 3 or 4 years, and I think there's a little bit of Glenn Beck written in there, and there's a little bit of everybody who thinks that they need a second chance in life, and maybe the people around them aren't willing to give it. Is
it always a pivot? With me, it was a pivot point where it was just like, oh my gosh, I'm wasting my life, and I'm being trapped in all the crap that happened to me as a child or whatever, or I did. Is it always a pivot point? Is it always one moment, or is it do you think it can be a slow realization of that?
That's a good question. I think it probably depends on the person. I know when my dad died, and I looked at my life, and I said, here I am, 16 years old, all these dreams I had, things I was going to do with my dad, things he was going to see me do. When he died, and when I was 16, I thought, well, what's my life going to be like now? And it's taken probably 20 years of small little pivot points along the way until I could say, you know what, I can have a second verse in my life, and my dad will be proud of me.
Speaking of verses, there's a song that goes with the book?
That's right. Sherry Call wrote a fantastic theme song for the book. It's called Love Me If You Can. Yep. You can hear it on the website, recoveringcharles.com.
Okay, listen, America, you need some hope, you need some information, inspiration. This is it. Recovering Charles by Jason Wright in bookstores everywhere this week. Thanks, sir.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
You bet.